Hi guys, I'm Kay Smith and welcome to Outlier, where we share inspiring stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things outside of their comfort zone in a bid to help other outliers and entrepreneurs do the same. In today's episode, we will be discussing the key takeaway from Lawrie Montague's Outlier episode, and we'll be doing a meditation on limiting beliefs and resistance at the end. And as always, I'm joined by Andrew, our CEO and founder. Hi, Andrew. How are you today?
Good, thanks, Kay. Again, as always, great to be here.
Yeah, it's a great one. This episode is a really powerful one, isn't it? And something that's quite close to our hearts with Lawrie. He gives such a wonderful interview with you.
Yeah, he's an amazing guy. He's been a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine since probably 2014 when he's a head coach at Golf University, my Golf University. So he's just a wealth of knowledge. He's a very good friend and we're definitely on the same wavelength. So if you haven't seen his interview, you can watch that here. And we had so much to talk about when I was in Jakarta with him. He's got so much to share, so much wisdom, that we created a bonus episode, so you can watch that up here as well if you've missed out. But Kay, essentially it's a really interesting story with Lawrie, because growing up as an extremely learning challenged dyslexic in an outlier town on the mid-north coast of Australia, Lawrie has gone on to become one of the world's most sought after golf and performance coaches. And he's now living his true outlier life in the Indonesian capital city of Jakarta as the Indonesian golf coach and the general manager of the Indonesian Golf Trust. This is a story of a man who believed he would never be able to learn, to now teaching thousands of golfers around the globe how to learn in a far more effective way. This is the story of the world's true golf whisperer.
Oh, amazing. But I think what's so amazing for me when I hear about Lawrie's story, I mean, there's so much depth to it. I mean, not only is he one of the world's best golf coaches, I mean, that's already an achievement, but he came from learning difficulties and then not feeling good enough and going through that whole challenge at school and in home life and everything else. But like you say, he's such a wealth of knowledge. It's not just about golf, this episode, is it? It's really about, I guess that comes from his being a professional. I forgot, what else is he? Sorry, Andrew, golf coach and performance coach.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. I had professional performance coach. So from him being a performance coach, it's not just about the sport, is it? It's much more about that. It's who you are as a person and what you bring, not only to the golf club, but to whatever you're doing.
Yeah, so Lawrie, he doesn't even like to be called a golf coach or a golf teacher or anything. He effectively doesn't like any labels. He prefers to be called an enabler. And it's a really interesting scenario. He never thought he could learn, right? But he decided, never thought he was good enough. So he decided to put in a lot of work. And so he's put in thousands and thousands of hours on the driving ranges around the world as a golf instructor. And effectively he's done 10,000 hours or more, but 25,000 plus at least, the first point of today is really about the 10,000 hour rule, which is, I guess, is one of the fundamental messages of the book Outlier by Malcolm Gladwell, is that if you study something specifically for 10,000 hours or more, you can effectively become a master in that. So when we talk to Lawrie, or when I talk to Lawrie, it's certainly, we don't never really talk about golf. We're talking about the inner game of golf, or life, as we like to call it, which is the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. So it's fascinating from two perspectives there. He's managed to do 10,000 hours plus, obviously a lot more than that, probably 30,000 hours to teach others, but it's also helped him in his overcoming his limiting belief around not being good enough, not being smart enough, etc. So again, he offers so much more than just the standard golf instructor, and that's what really resonated with me when I invited him to be the head coach of Golf University.
Incredible. And that also comes across in the bonus episode that we released as well, about being an outlier, because he really is a true outlier.
Yeah, well, he's obviously done thousands and thousands of hours of study on himself and on his students, but he also adds to this by mentioning that students or young outliers or entrepreneurs really need to be adaptable and they need to add more learning in different fields. So in Lawrie's case, he's done study in physiology, which includes a component of periodization with training protocols, etc. Big into human performance. He loves his martial arts, biomechanics, psychology. And as I mentioned, he just believes that all young outliers and entrepreneurs should be learning every day. And again, it's twofold, right? It's not just to add to your own skills and value, but it's to overcome or help overcome these limiting beliefs that some people may have, because it allows you, when you start studying, it allows you to see things from different perspectives. So in Laurie's case, he sees it from many different perspectives. And then when I go and see him as a student, it's amazing. I'll literally have a lesson with him and he'll teach me, or he'll just look at me and I'll adjust my finger like this on the club, and it will make like 20 meters difference to my shot, and it'll make it a lot straighter. Whereas most people try and deconstruct the whole golf swing, Lawrie makes a minor adjustment, which it just blows me away that a small change of the finger can make such a big difference. But that's the difference with Lawrie, and that's because he's studied for so long about so many different things that he takes it to the golf.
That's amazing. So really becoming that master that you can just do the most minute change, making the big difference.
Yeah, he's kind of like a sensei, I guess, in karate. It's so much more than, and in this case, golf, or karate or whatever. It's so much deeper than that. And again, that's why I mentioned I really resonate with him so much. He has this is our third point for today. He has a process where he focuses on golfers reducing their score. So that's an often shunned thing in the golf world, is coaches usually believe that they should be using or focusing on process, right? Or their golf swing as the way to get better. And the same applies for entrepreneurs, where if you focus on your outcome that you want, then you can come back to it as a benchmark and apply the correct or aligned processes each day to achieve the results that you want. So, so many sports psychologists in that nowadays, they talk about don't focus on the outcome. And Laurie's, obviously he uses score as the outcome, but it's not an outcome as such. It's just a benchmark. So if you want to apply that to entrepreneurship, if you want to create a business that say earns 10K a month or even $1 million a month, you would then say, what are the processes that I would need to get good at to make that outcome a reality? And obviously being adaptable at the same time, because obviously for $1 million business or a 10K a month business, you're going to need different processes at different times to be proficient at. So again, Lawrie he's an outlier in that regard, where he goes against the grain and uses score as his reference for his students. And so if they're not scoring a certain average when they go out and play, they have to sit down and work out, well, what are and what I'm doing as far as training goes, what processes can I change or get better at to allow me to score a lot better?
So it's really looking at the deeper part of, the outcomes that he's getting, like what we do with the meditations, and you're looking at, what's going on in the inner world that then is reflected in the outer world. In this case, it would be the score.
Yeah, so again, it's just a benchmark, right? So we talk about at Outlier that your external reality is a reflection of your internal reality, being that your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. And so much of Laurie's coaching is on the inner game of golf. And he really works on the technical without first investigating the internal elements, which, as I mentioned, are the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs of his students. But again, that's why he and I and Outlier as a whole resonate so closely in our philosophies, because that's exactly what we believe as well. We work on the internal first to change the external. He uses the external as the reference, but then again, goes internal. And because here's the cool thing, Kay, our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs then create the behaviors that are our link between our internal and our external world. So if our behaviors are all out of whack, e.g. our golf swing, most golf instructors will try and change it at a physical level. And we did this, we filmed a whole documentary, Lawrie and I, around this called Search for Scratch, to showcase that 90% or more of golf is actually played between the 3.5, 4.5 inches between your head, or between your ears, being your brain, right? So if your brain's out of whack, your thoughts, your feelings, and your beliefs, then your physical behaviors are going to be totally out of whack. So if it's 90% or so of the equation, then why do so many people work on the external? And we see that, Kay, don't we, in the business world with entrepreneurs, all the new shiny objects and stuff, pursuing, or, new sales letter technique, new website, new funnel, new blah, blah, blah. But what we talk about is about getting in alignment with yourself first, what your passions are, your talents are, your values, your vision, etc. And then just making sure that all of those are in alignment first, so you have the full clarity and direction, that then you can take the behaviors to then bring about the outcome that you're wanting. It's not about the shiny new objects.
And quite often I feel that the shiny objects don't always match the person. Like the funky new sales funnel and everything else, it might work for one person, but it might not work for somebody else, and their flow might be something different, and they're forcing a technique or a process on themselves, which can then hold them back even more, because that's not the kind of sales technique they need to be doing. It could be something else. So it's really important to be in tune with yourself.
Yeah, and most people don't ask the question, right? So what we do, again, we talk about whatever our outcome is, our ideal reality. Let's look at what it feels like as if it already exists. And the reason we do that is to know, well, there's multiple reasons, but one is to resonate with that ideal reality, but one is to say, does it feel right or not? So for an introverted person, having a good sales funnel might be a good thing because they don't want to do external world sales, called talking to people. Whereas someone who's more extroverted might prefer to actually get on the phone and have a conversation with someone. So, yeah, again, it's just go internal. It's the key. Clarity, direction will come from the internal, which then allows us to create behaviors to bring forth our external reality that we're trying to achieve. And
for Lawrie, I think what we were going to go on to next was about something about the pressure. He says putting pressure is a privilege with his coaching. Do you want to elaborate with some more on that for us?
Yeah, okay. And that's something we're going to work on with the meditation case. So Lawrie has a saying that pressure is a privilege, which means if you're feeling pressure in anything, like, you could be feeling overwhelmed, or you're feeling anxious, or you're feeling like, say, a golf scenario, the crowd's watching, or you're at the end of a tournament and you're leading and you're going, oh my God, I'm leading. What am I going to do here? Or in business, you've got bills to pay or whatever. He actually says, look, see it as a privilege rather than resist it, which is what most people do. See it as a privilege, and that you're actually in a position to stretch your comfort zone, which if you embrace the pressure, it means you're going to learn and you're going to grow. So see pressure in a positive way, not something to be avoided. And Kay, as I mentioned, we're going to, put you through the ringer in a minute, so to speak, and see how you go with that. And then we'll show the viewers and the listeners how to clear that underlying stress, so that all of a sudden you're comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, and I do like to embrace that as much as I can. I love that the phrase "seek discomfort," because there's so much growth in adversity if we embrace it.
Yeah, well, they also say the comfort zone is the most uncomfortable place to be, right? Because very quickly things become mundane, and it's almost like they say, if you're not growing, you're dying. And it's kind of like the comfort zone's where you're not growing. So therefore, what are you? You're dying slowly. So again, Absolutely. Get out of the comfort zone. That's where the learning and the growth occurs. And obviously, you're stretching your reality and possibilities, and seeing things from different angles as well.
Right. And what was your biggest takeaway from Lawrie's episode?
Oh, look, there's so many, obviously, and if, as I said, like if you haven't watched the episodes, they're well worth watching. You'll get some absolute gems out of both of them. Especially what does it take to be an outlier? That to me, that was a really, really powerful one. The biggest takeaway for me is Lawrie, he looks at golf and life, I guess, completely different to any other golf coach. And I've dealt with many through Golf University, and I'm not saying they're bad coaches or they're not as good or whatever. They're just different. But he looks at it in a totally different way. He studies way more than any golf coach I've ever met. And I can attest, I've stayed at his house on multiple occasions, and I've seen the size of his library. It is significant. He also talks about how many books he has next to his bed, that he tries to read a book a week, etc. But he's got many books stacked up and obviously, they're not all finished, but that's just how he lives. That's just what he's passionate about. And obviously he's driven by that initial feeling of not good enough and not smart enough. I guess the other thing is he doesn't make the coaching about him. He's a very humble man, and he's unassuming, and he tries to remove his ego in every engagement with the students. So he starts the day with a beginner's mind. So essentially what he means by that is he's brand new. He's a white belt. He has no knowledge in a scenario. He's got an empty cup. So he's looking to fill that cup on that day, be present for the day, and just see what unfolds. And obviously on that day, he's also got many, many resources that he uses to increase his knowledge as well, called his books, his podcasts, etc. Obviously, he's always trying to be better than he was yesterday. So today he's trying to be better than he was yesterday, and then tomorrow he'll be even better again. And ultimately, Kay, these are the attributes that make him an outlier over and above all of the golf coaches that I've worked with.
Incredible. I really enjoyed listening to Lawrie, and also in the build up to the release of the episodes, we had some conversations with him as well. And just in those very brief calls that we had, you could really sense that there's a different depth of knowledge and wisdom that obviously comes from all the studying and research and life experience that he has. So really, guys, I really recommend that you check out the episode. You can find all the links below and from the podcast and the video. So am I about to go out of my comfort zone now, Andrew?
Wow, it's up to you, but it'll help the viewers and the listeners' sake. But so it's a good question, okay? So let's just do a quick recap on the last few podcasts where we've sort of guided you through our initial step one process of the Outlier coaching program. We've talked about passions, we've talked about talents, we've talked about your vision, and we've talked about your values. And for anyone who has missed those, I'll put the link here that you can watch all of those episodes. But what I want to talk about today is, have you had any, say, limiting beliefs or resistance around becoming this ideal reality that you want to become, both for yourself and for your entrepreneurial journey? Like, is there anything that stands out that may be holding you back from achieving that?
Yeah, and it was really interesting. And it's always when I'm listening to the Outlier episodes that I kind of feel things come up and I resonate with. And for me, it's about like Lawrie was saying, not feeling good enough. And I don't think I know. For me, it's almost like that imposter syndrome comes up. Am I good enough? Can I do this? Am I then comparing myself to others? What do they do? Like even the shiny sales funnel, let's say, or they've got all these I don't have that, so that who am I to do anything? So I definitely say it's that.
Okay, so I'm going to get you to shut your eyes. As always, I'm going to get you to take 5 deep breaths. I'm going to get you to keep taking deep breaths for the remainder of the process. For the viewers and listeners' sake, the reason we do that, the deep breaths help us relax, which helps us go into our subconscious. Closing the eyes helps us go internal. And very soon, Kay will be in her subconscious, which is the part that I want to be talking to, because that's the part that's ultimately driving her, or even lower than the subconscious. So, Kay, I just want to ask you a question. Is the priority, and you'll feel the answer here, is the priority I'm not good enough or I'm an imposter?
Imposter.
Okay, so whereabouts in your body, in your room or outside of the room, is this imposter?
Throat to chest area.
Okay, so nice deep breath. As always, you're going to tune your breath into that area. Okay, and the key there is I just want you to feel it as much as you can. And I want you to tell me, we're going to go through the senses. What color is it?
Black.
What shape?
Triangular.
Size?
I don't know, 12 inches.
What temperature?
Cool.
What texture?
Smooth.
What's the emotion associated?
Fear.
Okay, so feel as much fear as you possibly can. And so for the viewers and listeners' sake, that might sound crazy, but Kay's done this a few times. So the reason we want to feel the feeling is because feelings just want to be felt. They have a message for us. So, Kay, on a scale of 0 to 10, if 10 was the most you could feel fear, what would it be right now?
I'd say 6.
Okay. So I want you to breathe more. Keep breathing. Okay. Something's going on for you. I can see it in your body language.
Yeah, I feel very constricted rather than mentally fear. It just feels very tight, and it's, yeah, like I'm being constricted.
Yeah, cool. So is it suffocated or constricted?
Yeah, suffocated is a good word. Yeah, suffocated.
Okay, and I threw that in purely because of your body language. So feel suffocated for me. Okay, I want you to feel it as much as you can. So this is for your sake as well as the viewers and listeners, is fear is a feeling that comes up to stop us feeling another feeling. So it's a protective feeling. So if you're out there and you're listening to this and you feel fear at times or anxiety, just know it's coming up to stop you feeling a certain thing. Now, that thing could be past reference related, or it could be future projected related. So, Kay, when it comes to you, is this a past thing or a future projection thing, knowing that we're talking about your ideal business reality?
Yeah, it feels like a future thing. Like I'm stopping myself through this fear.
Okay, so put your attention on, is it still in the throat area there, between chest and throat?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I just want you to sit in the feeling, okay? The suffocating feeling. That's stopping you feeling another feeling. Do you know what that feeling is? It's stopping you feel. So let's just future project. Kay's going to be really successful in her business. Something about that scares Kay. What's the feeling you would feel if you're really successful in your business?
The word that's coming up is seen, being seen.
Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead because I know I've done this many times, right, with thousands of clients. Is the feeling exposed, which then potentially leads to vulnerable? So let's just visualize lots of people are seeing you, right? Is it seen, exposed, or vulnerable, or something else?
You've hit the nail on the head. Vulnerable. Vulnerability is definitely a challenge I deal with.
Awesome. So where do you feel vulnerable right now?
It hasn't really moved. It's like almost just going up and down this area.
Awesome. So all I want you to do is feel vulnerable, right? Because here's the kicker. If you're comfortable feeling it, and this is where we talked about seeking discomfort so that you can become good at feeling it, then you don't fear it anymore, right? So just feel vulnerable, because that's you're feeling vulnerable. But what I'm saying is, okay, let's not fear it. Let's just feel it. And then you don't have to push it away anymore. Okay, which then potentially stops you being successful. It sabotages you. You'll create actions to stop you feeling seen, which then make you feel exposed and vulnerable. So what we have to do, or what you have to do, is feel comfortable feeling vulnerable. So I'm just going to sit here whilst you feel it. And on a scale of 0 to 10, how much can you feel it right now?
It's a good question. I'm trying to go into this feeling, but it's almost like I don't know how to feel vulnerable as well.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I'm going to throw another one at you. Like? So what you fear the most already exists, right? So how do you feel on a day-to-day basis at the moment by not being as successful as you possibly can in your business?
Okay, that's a good trigger.
Yeah. Do you feel vulnerable on a day-to-day basis?
Yes, actually, yes.
Awesome. So I'm going to say that again for the viewer's sake, right? What we fear the most already exists. So if it already exists and we're feeling it on a daily basis and we're okay, then there's nothing to fear. Does that make sense, Kay?
It does make sense, yes.
Because you're already feeling vulnerable, right? It's like a daily habit. It's like, oh, actually, I'm okay. I've already been feeling it. It's kind of mad, right? But you've been projecting future-wise, well, I don't want to be fully successful in my business because I'm going to feel vulnerable. Well, hey, guess what? You're already feeling vulnerable. So feel it even more for me.
So then what's coming up for me is judgment.
Yeah. So keep going with that. Tell me more.
So the vulnerability about being judged, about being that seeing the judgment and the vulnerability is all a bit of a soup.
Yeah. So let's say you're all seen and people are going, pointing at you, going, that's that Kay from Outlier. How come she can be so successful, blah, 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 right? So visualizing they're talking about you. Is that the fear, like that you're going to be judged if you're successful?
No, I'm not afraid of being successful. It's more of failing.
Very cool. So again, we fear feeling vulnerable, or you fear feeling vulnerable, right? Which ultimately is the next layer, because you're afraid of feeling like a failure if it doesn't work. Would that be true?
Yes.
Okay, so what would you suggest your subconscious for yourself is the best thing to do right now?
Well, I think my subconscious is inspired by what we just spoke about, and what's coming up is around mastery. So digging deeper into what I'm doing, learning more, becoming more comfortable with it.
Awesome. So that's the behavior, right? The behavior is to help overcome it, like Lawrie did, right? He studied his ass off and he coached and coached and coached, and he learnt and learnt and learnt to help him overcome feeling not good enough. Not that he doesn't still feel that, but it helped him become a master at his craft, right? But I want to back the truck up again. I just want you to feel failure. If you're fearing feeling failure, I just want you to feel it. Okay. And I know it may not feel comfortable, but I want you to feel it. And I want you to subconsciously go back to the time that's the highest priority that you felt failure in the past. And a vision or a memory or a physical impulse will come up to tell you. Usually takes about 3 or 4 seconds.
I'm not seeing a specific memory. I just see a version of myself with my head down, and I've let people down. I've failed at this, and just this real feeling of, yeah, like I suck.
All right, cool. So again, this is an educational piece. You could literally assume that position, right, of head down, and so do that for me, the body language perspective, and that'll help that feeling come on even more. Okay, and I want you to keep breathing deeply, and I want you to feel this failure, letting people down, that you suck. Right now, most people are going to run to the hills when I or someone says to them, feel these feelings, right? They're going to drink, they're going to smoke, they're going to do drugs, they're going to work, they're going to get on social media, they're going to do whatever it takes to not feel these feelings. But that is the last thing you want to do. We want you to feel it, because feeling is healing, and feeling this feeling of failure has a message for you. So the more you feel it, Kay, just let the message come up. It'll talk to you. What does it have to say?
I'm just getting, it's just all in my head.
What is?
This feeling of failure. It's not real.
Awesome. So it's just like a hologram, an illusion.
Yeah. Yes.
How does that feel, knowing it's not even real? It's just a projection. And
good. And it's kind of like, I'm not, sorry, what's coming for me is that I'm getting a lot of visions right now of the amount of times I am complimented, or people appreciate what I do, people respond to what I do, and they really value what I do. And I get that a lot. So it's like my subconscious is like, look at how many times I keep showing you you're okay. Like, you don't need to feel this.
Yeah, at some point you'll get it, right? You're actually pretty good, Kay, right? You are enough. You have the skills, the talent, the abilities, the passions, the connections, the knowledge, the wisdom to achieve this ideal reality, right? Just intuit it innately. You're way more powerful than you give yourself credit, right? So that's why one of the meditations we have in our program is all around gratitude. So it actually helps us turn on ourselves and appreciate the amazing things about ourselves and the things in the external reality, because often we get consumed with all the things we don't have, or that we fear that we don't have, or whatever. So, Kay, I want you to now spin this, right? What is the feeling you've got now if you were to tune into some of the things that people are saying?
I'm going to backtrack a second because the memories now just come up.
Yeah.
From when I was at school, I was about 8 years old, and I was in music class and doing a recorder, and I couldn't play. Like, everybody around me could play this recorder, and I was really trying hard, and it just wasn't going for me. And we were in the classroom, and everybody's playing the recorder, and I'm kind of pretending so nobody knows that I'm really bad at it. And then everybody stops on purpose so they could hear me play. And I was completely exposed in that moment for kind of cheating my way around not knowing how to play this recorder.
Awesome. So all I want you to do is feel it, right? So go back to that time that it was a problem subconsciously. I'm talking to your subconscious, and just feel everything stopped and they're looking at you. Breathe into it. It's a nice deep breath. And feel it even more. Breathe it in and feel it even more. Be comfortable feeling it. Just bask in it. It's just a feeling. It doesn't mean anything, but you gave it meaning at the time, right? What meaning did you give it?
That's just not being good enough, not being as good as everybody else, shame.
So there's the limiting belief, right? And there's the root of it back when you're playing recorder as an 8-year-old. And it's absolute bullshit, right? As an outside observer, it's garbage, but not to you. It's been driving your life ever since, for at least a few decades. It's been driving your success or lack of achieving your ideal level of success, because you don't want to be seen, you don't want to feel exposed, you don't want to feel vulnerable, because it makes you feel not good enough based on this past reference at the age of 8. So I want you to take a deep breath in for me, okay? This 8-year-old Kay is extremely powerful. She's been looking after you since the age of 8 to protect you from feeling these moments ever since, right? But her job is now done. So I want you to ask her, is she ready to join you in the present? Because I believe you could definitely have or benefit from her power in the present. Or is there still feeling that you need to do back at that time?
No, I feel ready. She can come here.
Awesome.
She can meet me where I'm at.
Perfect. So does she want to come, or is it just you wanting her to come?
No, there's happiness there.
Awesome. So that's really important, especially for the viewers' sake, is we have these sub-personalities, right? So Kay's got a part of Kay that's stuck at the age of 8, that still has energy, Kay's energy, trapped at the age of 8, that's stopping her being seen in the present day. Now, you need to have that conversation with her, Kay. Are you comfortable to join me? I would love to have you in the present, to use your power in the present. And they will say yes or no. You can just ask it and you'll see the inner child there. And if it says yes, then ask it to join you in the present, and then you will know when she arrives. And when she does, let me know. If she doesn't, there's more work to do.
Okay. Okay, she's here.
Awesome. So what would present day Kay want to say to 8-year-old Kay who's now joined her in the present?
It's kind of like a joke thing going on, like, oh, forget these guys, come and join me over here, and let's shine, let's take over the world, kind of like talking as an 8-year-old level,
So she's saying that to you?
like a conversation we're having, it's like, because I always remember feeling different when I was younger, and not feeling like I fit in and this and that. So it kind of just has this feeling of, forget it, like come just be with him, be with me here now. It's cool here. We're okay. And it's like a hell yes.
So breathe that in for me. Okay. We're on to the much more positive feelings, right? And obviously if you're feeling those empowering feelings, you're going to start attracting more of them in your external reality. So breathe it in for me. And I want you to feel it as much as you can. And obviously after this podcast or this video, I want you to feel it as often as you can from now on. So there's two things we're going to do here, okay? You're going to feel it for me, okay? I just want you to bring it on as much as you can. But I want you to ask yourself, what is the next thing I need to do on a regular basis that'll help me feel these feelings as often as I can? And the answer would be?
Just to check in like this, actually, just to check, take a few moments, close my eyes, feel the power, and feel the parts of myself coming back to myself and being whole and okay. And as what we said earlier, all the confirmations that I get from external that I don't want to hear, breathe those in, maybe write them down so I can look at them.
How does it feel?
Good. Very good.
Feel it even more. Okay, this is the key. You've got to feel this feeling as often as you can, because the more you feel this, the more you're going to attract your success. Okay, doesn't require much effort, does it, other than tuning in and writing down some of the positive comments that, etc., that you can remember from others. Like, that's not hard work. It's not a sales funnel, by the way. It's not a fancy sales script or a website or a dodgy sales technique that's going to help you be successful in business. It's you getting in alignment with you. Right? And removing those, not necessarily removing, because we want to use the power of the 8-year-old and how many other limiting beliefs you may have. But yeah, let's work with them, talk to them, learn from them, bring them into the present, so you've got even more power available on a daily basis for you to start attracting the ideal reality that you're after. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And what's also coming up for me now is about like this fragmentation of self. And maybe that does require more work as well. Like you said, to look at where else am I fragmented and needs to come in.
Yeah. If at all, right? But great point.
Yeah.
Okay, so just for the viewer's sake, for your sake, what's the one lesson that you've learned about yourself today?
That, I'm going to open my eyes now. That these limiting beliefs, let me just get my words. The fact that they're not so real, they're just from like a past moment, that like what is really powerful, what you said, that you just, part of yourself gets stuck in a time loop, but it's always there in the background, keeping you safe. And also to know that there's power in that 8-year-old child. There's so much power. And that's so beautiful to recognize and to feel and to be like, yeah, wow, that's amazing. And just to bring that into myself and to love myself more and to be thankful and grateful. And so, yeah, that's what's coming up for me right now.
Wow, that's powerful, right? And essentially, okay, we are adults, right? But we're driven by usually the 0 to 7, 0 to 8-year-old. And so obviously if we've had a tarnished upbringing for whatever reason, it's going to be driving our day-to-day reality for us in the present, until we address it by feeling the feelings associated with those uncomfortable events. Could be traumatic, could be just problematic challenges we had growing up, because they're still driving us at some level. And as we move towards what we want, we always challenge them. So they're almost like hands trying to hold us down. And I talked about this in one of the other episodes. It's like a hot air balloon. Your ideal reality is the hot air balloon flying, but the ropes are what's holding it down. And they're the limiting beliefs, right? The negative, conflicting thoughts, feelings, beliefs. So we have to go through and systematically chop, not all of them, but some of them, to allow the balloon to fly. Does that make sense? The other analogy to use, as I mentioned, is like hands from the grave. They're coming up to pull us down. right? It's a bit gorier description, but that's essentially what that is. But what they're actually doing is they're not to be resisted. Most people don't want to acknowledge them. They're actually putting their hand up to be felt, to be acknowledged, because they have that wisdom that you've just experienced for yourself or for myself, whoever has the limiting beliefs, that then they're actually trying to help us to get to the ideal reality that we're seeking. So final recap, how's the throat area from heart, chest to throat there?
I don't feel the suffocation or constriction anymore. I actually feel quite radiant in my heart space. Mm-hmm. It feels good.
Okay, I want you to future project for me. You're going to be successful, right? Your ideal outlier reality, be it in your business and your life, you're going to be seen. You're going to be exposed and you're going to be vulnerable at times. How does that feel?
It still feels a little bit not scary, just be like, okay, I can handle it. I think one thing that comes up now is like, okay, I need to be more tougher, so be more stronger to be able to deflect anything that comes my way, because I know my truth, that I'm okay and I'm successful and I'm good at what I do, and I don't need to worry that if I'm judged or anything else.
Okay, so again, just you still aren't 100% comfortable feeling those feelings, right? So just sit in them. And again, that's why we have our feeling is healing meditation, to help us just sit in the feelings we don't want to feel. That just holds us in that space, and very quickly they dissipate. So the more you can feel them, the more you're going to heal them. And you mentioned getting tougher. To me, it's just more like being desensitized, that you're not afraid of feeling those feelings. So Kay, a really good progress over the, from the 5 times we've done this process. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, amazing. I'm so grateful that I get to do this with you on this podcast, and obviously working together. And yeah, it feels very expansive, and I really recommend to anybody to at least download the meditations and give those a go and go through this process yourself, because it is so powerful. And even, all from what we talked about with Lawrie, it's not just the outer work, it's really this inner work, and it's always this inner child, and that's protecting us. And the sabotage that we might go through, the limiting beliefs we might go to, it's really just our protection. And if we just work on that, we can really expand and grow, and we can all be successful. So yeah, we need to do the work, guys.
Easier said than done for some though, right? But that's what makes us outliers. We're committed to that process.
Indeed. And there's so many outliers out there, I know, that are just waiting to bloom, like myself. So Andrew, do you want to go through the coaching program that people can sign up for?
Yeah, well, we have multiple coaching programs. I'll put the link below here for our main media and marketing one. And we say it's media and marketing, but the reality is the first 2 sections of a 7-step process is all about this internal work, right? So getting clarity and direction around, the ultimate life that we want to be living, the ultimate business, etc., the ultimate clients we want to be serving, etc. Everything else is just a shiny object that's going to help that process. But the reality is it has nothing to do with those things. They're just tools along the journey. But we'll teach people, video production, how to use video to market yourself, etc., how to, create leads, how to attract your ideal clients, etc., using the power of many of the social media platforms, etc. But ultimately, Kay, as you've observed and witnessed over the last few sessions, the most important part is step 1 and step 2, which is all the internal work. So again, I'll put the link down below for the coaching program. If you want to do our Unleash Your Inner Outlier coaching program, that's essentially step 1 of the process. Then I'll put the link down below for that as well. And there's also, I know we've got multiple options. You've either got your do-it-yourself option, or you can do it with us option. I'll put the do-it-yourself option below as well.
Incredible. So yes, please, guys, check us out, have a look. Make sure to also like the video, share it with anybody that you think will benefit from hearing what we have to say. Subscribe. We've got Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We're all across all the channels on Twitter as well. So if you want to connect to us anywhere there, you can find us Outlier TV. And I'm really looking forward to the next one. And the next one's going to be you, Andrew. So we're going to be discussing you, right?
Yeah, it's a bit of a random thing to do, but I thought it's important for me to be able to share what the Outlier message is all about, over and above what we already do, how it came to be, the journey that was taken to unveil it. So looking forward to it. Yeah,
me too. All right, guys, thank you so much. And we will see you and hear you next time.